Let me create a new project. On my SOR example, my web. I want to go with the full screen activity because I do not want to explicitly tell there is something WebView is there inside. A full screen, nothing but some sort of codes written on the top. I'll let you know what it is. Okay. It's really bad. Sometimes it works perfect. Okay, let me create a default one. We'll make it full screen from our code itself directly. No mercy. Now done. Looking for a constant which will push the okay, let me find a little later. Let me first add the okay, so as usual I'm going to layout instead of this text view. Maybe I can keep the web view alone. This is a lot of margin it puts. You can see a widget called WebView. make sure you send me. So a web view is here. A web view is a instance of a browser. Any browser is installed by default. Maybe a object can be retrieved as a web view object. But starting from ICS Android 4.0, Chrome has been made a default browser. So you will have a Chrome, that the browser whatever you see. So WebView is nothing but a instance of a Chrome browser. Okay, that's it. WebView is done. Few things. Loading a URL is pretty straightforward on the WebView. You can directly load it, but there's going to be some problem. But anyway, you are accessing internet. Make sure you add a permission. Those who cannot access internet, I'll also give you another fix. But just have a look at this. Use this permission. Looking for something internet. We're not there yet. Actually, it did not open in our app. It actually opened the browser. See the browser icon. My application is here. It opened in a new window, so that's actually not we are preferring. To achieve few things, we need a few classes to be added. Set web Chrome client so that you can handle JavaScript callbacks or anything specific to not only the JavaScript, anything like console output or anything specific to JavaScript or something to do with HTML5 video element. If you want to capture them, you can capture using a Chrome client. You need to write a Chrome client instance here. Another one, you need to have a set WebView client to handle the error messages or any other specific thing. For example, if you do not want to modify any behavior, you can simply make it like new web Chrome client, just an instance, whatever default instance. If you do not want to modify anything, this will make sure that particular instance being created for you. So anyway, your WebView can handle the callbacks, but as of now I'm not doing anything, so just kept them empty. So this will make sure the application loaded, for example the URL is loaded inside your application itself. Now if you notice, this is my application because I do have a option menu here. So the application has been loaded inside WebView. I mean, the URL has been loaded inside a WebView, but it clearly looks like a native application. Applications there inside. So now you can internally load any URL and convert it as a Android native package. For example, once you export it, it becomes a native application, but nobody knows it is running inside a browser. But still, things are looking pretty much clear. Let me see. I log in using my credentials. This is a mobile view. The developer portal, whatever you are working or getting the source code, it is mobile customized already. But if you notice, none of the interfaces are working because my site is even the code is also not looking proper, because most of the code customization was done using JavaScript. I haven't enabled the JavaScript here, so we have to make sure. Set JavaScript enabled, set to true. Get the settings, and through the settings call it. It will throw in a warning stating that this may be a potential chances are there, because when you give a control or load JavaScript, anyone can access your native application as well. It's just a warning. You may choose to suppress it. Now if you see, the code is loaded properly because I enabled JavaScript, and those menus also will be properly displayed. So your application has got loaded inside. Now, of course, the videos, it will load a HTML5 version of a video, because Flash is not supported in Chrome. Most of the, mobile browsers, Flash is not supported. YouTube automatically will load the HTML5 version, like MP4 version of a video, which will have a video talk, automatically would have got converted. And this particular application can be exported as a, for example, I can package it saying that my developer application. I can simply package. Nobody knows what is the internal URL I'm loading. It will load work as if a native application. That's one. So let me first make it a full screen. It's slightly disturbing. And partially there, I just need a request feature ID should be there. As usual, the rescue is Android developer portal. I would recommend, if you have a questions, the first choice always goes to Android developer portal, because it will be a up-to-date one, and it will also contain a lot of sample codes and will give you a latest specific APIs. If you are depending on some other blogs or forums, chances are there you may refer older APIs. Another one is Stack Overflow, where a lot of questions and answers been asked. That is one of I mean best place to refer anything specific to Android. That probably you can depend on Google. Okay. Feature note title. Let me see. Not sure whether it is the correct one. Let's something going on here. Journal title. Make it activity instead of. So now my application is full screen. I mean, just remove the title, because if you do not call action bar, a small title bar will appear. That bar has been removed using get. So get a object of your window. Window mean that anything displayed on the activity. Make sure you call this particular line just before the set content view. Mean it should take a precedence. It should be on the top. So before loading the UI itself, the window would be made full screen. The title would be hidden. It is maybe just set to hidden. Then your content will load in full screen. So now it's like your native application. So any web URL can be encapsulated inside a WebView and can be made as a native application. Anyway, it is running on a WebView inside, maybe a Chrome instance, but this gives an enormous opportunity for hybrid mobile application developer. They can only develop everything using HTML5 and JavaScript, and finally package as a native application using a WebView. All UI, persistency, everything. In this case, you can handle through JavaScript HTML5 itself. We already seen like IndexedDB for maybe the equivalent of SQLite, I can say. So your JavaScript HTML5 itself has all the options to persist the data and handle data efficiently, loading or manipulating the DOM. There are various options available. So if you want that way, most of the hybrid application developer, uh, they do not do like this, like write everything from native. There are export tools available like PhoneGap, Cordova. There are various third-party tools available. In a command line or any other UI specific, export tool can make your application encapsulated inside a web view. Be it Android, be it iOS, Windows, almost all the phones have a kind of object like a web view, mean an instance of a local browser. So in the local browser, that HTML content is loaded, and that has been exported finally, and it's been given as a native application. This kind of export or packaging is called hybrid application development. Mean most of the coding is done using HTML5 JavaScript. Only the export tool is used as a native one, maybe Android, iOS in the last stage. While I create APK, of course, I need Android SDK. So the final stage would be a native side. So this kind of mechanism or pattern is usually considered as a hybrid application development. Of course, our previous training program was widely discussing about how to have a write a web application using JavaScript and HTML5. Of course, you can use that here as well. So this is something I have loaded from an external URL, like which I have no control. Assume in this case, I can load any websites, any kind of URL you can point it. If the user has internet, it will simply load it. You can also locally load some contents. Uh, for example, you can create HTML, JavaScript, or anything attached. then you can load it from an asset folder. For example, keep your HTML files inside a folder called assets. There is a folder called assets. Here you can keep all your HTML files and you can call it here using, yeah, let me check, it will be like the path of a Android asset should be so. For example, you can keep a index.html, put the index.html file in assets folder. So let me create a simple HTML file. It goes to this one. Okay, you can write a HTML code, any code, of course, any JavaScript, any kind of support which you have already done. If you have your previous code, you can very well use them. Or a developer portal also have a lot of examples. From there you can copy paste it and see how things work. And I can also do that instead of writing from scratch. Just trying to see anything simple. There's plenty of files. Okay, looks simple. It need a jQuery, but anyway, let me pull it. It also has some images. Obama jQuery. I'll download the jQuery, maybe if you do not have it. Those development I did using in my Windows machine, so I do not have all the source codes. Let me download it freshly. It is there inside a JS folder, so let me create a this jQuery 2.1.1. Okay, it exactly matches. I hope this Obama photo I should be having somewhere. It is there in the root folder itself. I'll just name it Obama JPG. Looks fine for me. Okay. So I kept all the assets and put inside the asset folder itself. Now I'm locally load the content. Of course, I'm pointing Android assets will automatically point your local assets folder. So it's not a global assets folder. Typically, it's a local assets folder of your application. Asset or assets. So let me run first. Not be found. Set asset. So now if you see the file is locally loading from my asset folder. So if you cannot access the internet, whatever files development you did in your previous exercise, you can conveniently put that inside the asset folder. Make sure the URL is file, and make sure that triple slashes and Android asset, it will directly give access to this asset folder. So whatever folder structure you have followed, make sure you give us a subdirectories. In this case, index is there in the root directory itself immediately inside the asset folder. So I'm calling it. So any mobile supported websites, whatever you have, which you created, you can load it locally. So this way also a lot of apps being developed, and of course most of the previous training exercises you can simply pull all the files and put it here and directly call them and have it loaded. Whatever jQuery or anything mobile specific or HTML specific, everything will run here. No matter, mostly desktop browser may not be up to date one, but mobile browser is always an up to date one. So it will support full specification of HTML5. Of course, you can even load a video tag. You can play video locally, keep the video file and play it, and almost everything will be supported. Whereas this particular example we created, let me see. So mobile ready site, and that very first example I wrote automatically adjust the content size and the image size according to the width and height available. So I had given a margin or padding, that's the reason that the white space is appearing. So you can also locally load them. Few more example. Be happy if I have any HTML editors, but otherwise I need to directly edit them. I do not have HTML editor, otherwise you can open your NetBeans, or even this will also should be supporting. I think this is just a Java specific one. If you have HTML editor, you can use it. Otherwise, if you are very good at your HTML5, you can directly write the code. I'm trying to have a button. Here. This is a HTML button. Using this HTML button, I can call Android functions or Android methods, anything defined in Java. Kind of an interface I'm trying to achieve. From JavaScript to Android method. Is there any way to do it? Of course, we have a lot of ways. Let me create a class. Just an interface that I'm just trying to give a conventional meaning, nothing to do with the interface of object-oriented program. Just output, I may say connector, not to get confused. Make sure it has a annotation script interface. If you do not specify this annotation, it won't be called, and I cannot make any bridge between the JavaScript and Android. I'm going to have, this is a normal JavaScript class. One of a method is there, so alert dialog builder, you already know the positive negative buttons. Need a context, so you need to pass the context as well. Make it public. Just so many warnings. Message is going to come from I'm just prefixing to avoid it is not view on click listener, it's a dialog interface on click listener. The builder can be cancelable as well. Finally attach the instance of the builder. Then display. If anything is there, you can put it after clicking OK or not OK, whatever. So it's just a class which is going to become a bridge between the JavaScript and Android. In order to achieve JavaScript interface, give a JSON interface which you created. Interface name, I'll give my name. For whatever name, you can just string. I'll give a caps. Okay, so this particular interface object, it, if it is defined in JavaScript, I can route the callback here. How? Okay, here. On click. I hope on click is one of an attribute, and the value should be of a JavaScript function. I'm going to give a JavaScript function. This dev should be the one what you created as an object, and from the object call the display dialog method. You can use a good HTML editors such as NetBeans. It will help you to have a code suggestion, and it will help you to write syntax free, and syntax error free codes. But I don't want to open multiple instances, so just I made it. So there is a button. It has an on-click attribute, and it has a value called call Android function, a method which is defined in JavaScript. That JavaScript is calling one of a method defined in Android. The object name, the interface name, whatever name is mapped here. In this case, I have given dev, and if you notice, the same name I have given here. So it will call this particular class. Inside, it will find this particular method. I'm assuming I've given the same name. Display dialog, and expect a string parameter, and make sure this particular annotation, because this will make sure the string type of Java is uh, I mean made converted according to a JavaScript of string. This annotation is very important. Okay. Save. Let me see if it runs. Notice this dialog. It is actually coming from Android. So any Android function can be called from JavaScript as well. So right now we made a simple interface bridge. Interface in this case, do not confuse with the object-oriented type interface. Interface means a communication between two different language platforms. A JavaScript is a different language, Java is a different language. So both has been connected in such a way. A particular Java object is referenced using a name of a JavaScript object. So just a name. Make sure the same name is given here. Through that, call the inner methods whatever defined. That inner method can execute any Java functions. In this case, I have alert dialog, and that alert dialog is displaying a title, the message which is coming from JavaScript. In this case, press it button clicked. Of course, it is displaying that. And I have OK cancel, that is positive and negative buttons. So for example, if you want to handle certain callbacks, put a button and you want to call something Android native. For example, you want to open some other, say, gallery or some other application or some other native specific thing you want to do it, you can handle from here. So using a, a functionality called add JavaScript interface, a method, define your own interface. It's nothing but a class, and keep your Android specific methods annotated using JavaScript interface, and those methods can be called from JavaScript. So of course it is nice to control Android through JavaScript, but it may also a potential violation as well, because chances are there a bad JavaScripting may tend to harm your operating system or internal libraries. Maybe if it is your own application, own application in the sense it is not externally hosted, it is there inside the asset package or asset folder itself, no problem, because it's your own application. But if you are calling anything from HTTP, where this HTTP has this kind of a methods, chances are that anyone can modify and try to get information from your phone. But still it is one of a nice feature. PhoneGap Cordova extensively uses this kind of option to build their UIs. So such as PhoneGap, Cordova, Accelerator, Xamarin. There are various tools available which helps you to write application in a different language and finally port it to one Android, iOS or Windows using export tools. So final stage would be a native site, but mostly all application would be HTML5 and JavaScript, which will run on the browser. The same terminology exists for all other applications as well. There will be an instance of a WebView, web browser instance. All the phones, all the different vendors operating system has an object called a WebView. That object will give an instance of a local phone browser. So using that browser, you can load any HTML pages or internal or external pages. And Android has a option to control or make a communication or interface between the JavaScript and Android. And using a JavaScript interface or method having annotation JavaScript interface, so you can write any, for example, if you want to display a toast instead of dialog, of course you can put a toast line here. Or if you want to handle a new activity when this particular button is clicking, you want to display something new, you can handle everything here. So anywhere if you want to handle a different thing, you can still use them. Let me see few others thing as well. Maybe web Chrome client. This Chrome client, instead of doing like this, I'll do one thing. Yes, instead of extending there itself, I'll do here. Console message. Posted, given WebView and removed from web system that's necessary. So Oh, sorry, return is here, so I need to keep it inside. Whenever a JavaScript console is printed, I'm expecting my Chrome client override and display it as a toast. So when the button is clicked, I'll put one more button. A JavaScript console log, which we often see in the what you call JavaScript console in the mostly Chrome browser in the debug mode, wherever we see it. Right now I'm going to display that in Android as a toast. So any console is printed, automatically Chrome client will identify it. So on console messages are available already, so from the console it will pick the message and make it as a toast here. I'm expecting that also. Most of the time it doesn't work, but I'm hoping it should work now. It's not running. These are all a lot of already some consoles are printing. That's already printed because my code already contains some consoles, maybe console logs. These are all the logs already there, which already printed, and one more console also print. So whenever the JavaScript console is printed, your Chrome web client uh, automatically overrides this method. So just before returning, we are putting a toast so that I can see that alive. So that's a benefit. Whatever Chrome can is capable of, anything you can override. There are plenty of methods are available, but discussing everything is going to be beyond to the scope of this training program, because we have to concentrate more on the Android side. Otherwise, I'll again go back to hybrid application development. On JS alert is also. Let me try this also. On JavaScript alert, I will put alert dialog again. So need a context. So whenever a JavaScript alert is triggered, so I'll put one more button over there. I can directly call alert, built-in alert. Okay. It's really annoying. Sometimes it doesn't load. So I just clicked alert dialog. Uh, of course, the page at file. Okay, this is the title. I mean the host name, the application name automatically picked, and this is from JS alert, which is the type of an alert. So your Java script alert has been popped up using this way. Here it is. So that one is a JavaScript alert. This is a normal JavaScript alert because there is no positive and negative button. Should have put a toast. This is what it is actually coming from a dialog. So this message is also captured here. Set to false. Okay, I thought of disabling it, but it doesn't disable. Okay, anyway. So various ways. This is particularly useful if you want to display a content which is of type mobile ready web pages. You can pull those files, put those files in assets folder. You can locally load it using Android asset and what followed by whatever file name. So since it is Chrome client or a browser which is supporting HTML5 standard, any application you created in the previous training program, you can very well load it and see, make it as a native application. Once everything tested, you can export it as a APK and make it as a native application itself. So this is giving an enormous opportunity for web developer who only knows HTML5 JavaScript alone, where they don't want to learn Android or iOS or any other application. What they can do is they can build everything in HTML5 JavaScript or jQuery or Angular. There are various client MVC Java client side codes are available. Using that they will develop, and finally they will convert it as a kind of a hybrid or maybe a native application using the WebView. The last stage where the Android developer part may be required. But for that also we have various tools which will do the similar job automated. If you have internet access, please refer a phone gap or accelerator, Xamarin or Cordova. There are various export tools available which are free, sometimes something is paid. So it will automatically export them into a various applications, operating system specific application, Android, iOS, Windows, BlackBerry, various things. But everything works in the same methodology. Like, it will access a WebView object. Inside the WebView object, it will load the specific URL and hide everything, so nobody knows what is exactly loading. And since it has a various options, like accessing a JavaScript to Android interface or Android method, you can also override if it is required. If not required, simply keep them, just give a new client or Chrome client and have them uh, I mean uh, loaded inside your WebView object itself. So this is a simple or small example on WebView. I'm also thinking about loading all your uh, web services inside the asset folder itself until we get our exceptions on certain website. But that won't solve our requirement fully, but at least we will come to know how to handle files and how to handle web services or anything else. So that's the reason I started this, because I thought of these are all the simple thing. I thought of taking them into the last stage, but since we yet to get approval from the respective authorities, we need to see alternative ways to finish our web service or anything specific to that example. So I'm trying to see, I'll work on it. If possible, I'll try to create a simple HTML application which will, for example, will emulate the JSON response. From there, if you could capture them, so we'll see them. Like, if at all, that could be set as a simple fix. So make sure before that time you finish this exercise. If you have access to your previous codes in your machine, you can load it. Otherwise, if you have does everybody have a NetBeans installed? If not, you have to do it manually like what I did. Otherwise, I don't think that's a very difficult thing. Writing a simple HTML file, HTML and JavaScript is going to be very simple. All example source code is already there in your the website itself. We can pick it up and create a folder structure, load it inside the web view. Any complex site, whatever it is defined there, it will 100% will work. The final stage, make sure a web view is initialized in this way and call the load URL using file android asset slash the file name. Make sure index remains the first page, and from there various linking happens. From there you can load it and have your mobile ready site created as a native application. Maybe you can do a couple of other exercises from there. I'll load the source code right away.